Hello, my name is Amber and welcome back to my channel. And we are here to get woke. And today I'm going to school you. Hello from Ohio. Hello from Ohio. Hello from Ohio. That's my state. Little Podunk, Ohio. So we're going to talk about the history of embalming and the Roundup scandal that the media is hyping up. As early as the First Dynasty, which was 3200 BC, specialized priests were in charge of embalming and mummification. They did so by removing the organs, ridding the body of moisture, and covering the body with natron. The ancient Egyptians believed the mummification enabled the soul to return to the preserved corpse after the death. Dead bodies are destroyed by bacteria. Heat and lack of moisture are natural enemies of bacterial survival and growth. This could be the reason behind the huge success of the Egyptian mummification. Egypt has a very hot and dry climate. But how did the Egyptians embalm the dead? Step 1, they removed the brain. The skull was then replaced with resin. The definition of resin, if you didn't know, a solid or highly viscous substance of plant or synthetic origin that is typically convertible to polymers. Step 2. The internal organs were removed through an abdominal incision. The organs were either washed and mixed with resin and spices and returned to the body or placed in separate buried vases called canopic jars. Step 3. Immersion. The body was placed in natron or sodium salt. The caustic action of the solution would cause the fingernails and toenails to be removed. They were replaced, and keeping the belief that the body must be intact for 3,000 years. Not for sure how they come up with the number. The immersion lasted 20 to 70 days. Step 4. Dehydration. The body was cleansed, straightened, and dehydrated in the sun. Step 5. The wrapping. About 1,200 yards of 3 1/4 inch bandage was used to wrap the body. Gum or glue held the cloth together and helped to fit it around the body while it was still damp. The body was placed in a sarcophagus, see, I know that hard word, and returned to the family. But this method only happened if you was rich in royalty. If you were poor, your body would be placed, or should I say immersed, in the natron solution or sodium salt. The Egyptians had a walled suburb called the necropolis, literally the city of the dead. This is where all the embalming and the care for the bodies took place. And yes, I take notes. The crypts and tombs were also located in the necropolis. The early Christians followed strong Jewish tradition of burial with no embalming. During the Dark Ages, embalming was usually not practiced. The plague might have had something to do with this, but I can't say for sure. However, scientists used bodies for dissection, so preservation was practiced and the techniques were perfected. There were several men that helped embalming become what it is today. I'm not going to list all of them. However, Da Vinci, yes, the artist, used arterial injection to preserve his dissected specimens. Something I didn't know. Dr. Thomas Holmes is the father of modern embalming. He experimented with preservative chemicals while working as a coroner's assistant in New York. Modern embalming became big during the Civil War period. Dr. Thomas Holmes became captain in the Army Medical Corps. Dr. Holmes embalmed many Army officers killed in battle. He reportedly embalmed over 4,000 soldiers and officers. However, after the Civil War, embalming fell into disuse because of lack of demand and few people to do the procedure. The undertakers of the day only used ice to ward off decomposition long enough to have a funeral. By the turn of the century, wooden coffins were being made by carpenters and cabinet makers. At first, these men only made the coffins. Then they became involved in funeral planning and directing. They provided all necessary means for the funeral, including the hearse, door badges, coffin rests, etc. These men came to be known as the undertakers. Once the undertakers started embalming the dead, people did not have to rush the funerals. The grieving families could take more time to prepare for the funeral. The first embalming that took place, they used arsenic solutions. It was not until the 1930s that state licensing became universal for embalming. I thought all people who died and did not get cremated were embalmed, but I was wrong. Embalming is used in open casket funerals. There are three main purposes of embalming: disinfection. While some pathogens die with the host, many dangerous organisms live in dead tissue. It is believed that persons coming in direct contact with the unembalmed can become infected, as well as the body drawing flies and bugs to it. Ew. The second purpose is preservation. The prevention of putrefaction and decomposition allows buried cremation or entombment to take place without odors. The third purpose is restoration. Returning the body to a lifelike appearance has received many critics, but the custom of viewing the body after death in a state of rest remains a practice of psychological warmth and worth. I question this statement. I have been to a funeral where the grieving person leans over the casket, sobs uncontrollably, hugs their deceased loved one. And I tell you, this is heartbreaking and it chokes me up to see this. Through modern embalming, bodies can remain intact for decades. I have a big problem with this. Will cemeteries run out of space to bury the dead? People die every day. In nature, especially in a forest, an animal dies and goes back to the earth. Nature recycles. Embalming and coffins are messing with this natural recycling process. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 3, verse 19, it states, "In the sweat of thy face shouldst thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shall thou return." So according to the Bible, we're supposed to go back to the earth after we die. Should we even be embalming in the first place? I just exposed another lie of the Matrix right here. Remember, we are brainwashed to do the opposite of what we should be doing. I have a hard time with this one myself. I've been to several funerals. It's embedded in my subconscious that this is normal. But now that I am awake, I'm questioning the use of this practice big time. Do we have to embalm bodies and put them in metal boxes that don't break down back into the environment? Resin is used to embalm bodies. It is a carcinogen, but the internet claims it does not cause cancer. Yeah, right. Carcinogenic items cause cancer because they are poison to cells in the body. Resin is supposed to be non-toxic, but it gives off fumes, and you're supposed to use it in a well-ventilated area. The fumes can get in your lungs and cause irritation. It is harmful when exposed to eyes or ingested. Arsenic is used in embalming and is also highly toxic. It can contaminate water, food, and crops. I bet resin can too. Hello, this is just as bad as the Roundup weed killer. We see commercials left and right on regular TV about Roundup poisoning us and crops, but we see nothing about the embalming chemicals that could be doing our bodies and environment great harm. Do you really believe the caskets will never leak? Formaldehyde is also used in embalming. The short-term exposure to formaldehyde can kill you. It can cause asthma or bronchitis. Following a single exposure to high levels in the air from an accidental spill, it can cause neurological effects and pulmonary edema. Methanol is also highly toxic, and it's used in embalming fluids too. Methanol can be absorbed through your skin and inhaled. I wonder if these are some of the chemicals that are being sprayed in the airplanes. I want to use the term chemtrails, but I know it's not technical to use chemtrails, but you know what I'm talking about. I can't prove it, but boy, I wonder. Incidentally, formaldehyde is used in our vaccines as a preservative because it kills bacteria. Let me repeat, formaldehyde is in these. Do you still want to get your yearly flu shot? Is your BS meter dinging? Is the CDC trying to embalm people before their open casket funerals? I got you thinking now. In Columbus, I've seen squads pulled in parking lots offering flu shots. Wait, hold up, wait a minute. I thought the virus was so bad the hospitals were supposed to be full. Why are squads located in parking lots trying to give us our vaccines? We all need to do some deep meditation because we need to come up with some solutions, and we need to come up with them fast. We need shovels because we are in deep shite. The only other solution I have other than meditation is try to spiritually wake up those around you, whether they listen or not. So, with all that being said, be the frequency you want to have in your life and stay woke.